Hi everyone. I know I'm going to be away, so I'm creating a solution video for our practice solving equations test. I'll try and run through these questions pretty quickly, but the video will still end up being reasonably long, so it might be broken into two parts. You'll just have to wait and see how far we get in this video and whether there's a second video. I'll share all links with you either way so that you've got access to this material. Okay, let's run through these questions. So we are going to do questions 1 to 13 without a calculator, and we're going to show all working out. This check answers on CAS, that was there for when we do it in class. The idea is that you are double checking your answers on your calculator when you're doing it in class. I won't do that in this video. All right, so this is how I'd expect to show the workings for this problem. Start with the equation. Then I'm going to add 5 to both sides, which becomes 2x on the left and 16 on the right. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I get x equals 8. And I'll just put add 5, divide 2. In my second question, when I have brackets, the first thing I need to do is expand my brackets and collect like terms. So when I expand these brackets, I get 14x minus 21 from the first bracket, and then positive 4x, positive 4 from the second bracket, and my right-hand side of the equal sign is still 1. Now I put together my like terms, so 14x and 4x are like terms. Put them together, I get 18x's. And negative 21 and positive 4 are like terms. Put them together, I get negative 17. So once I've expanded my brackets and collected my like terms, now I've just got to rearrange my equation. I'm going to add 17 to both sides, which gives me 18x equals 18. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 18. And 18 divided by 18 is just 1. So my answer is 1. All right, third equation, I've got the unknown appearing twice. Same rule as before. The first thing I do is I expand the brackets. So on the left-hand side, there are no brackets. I just copy the equation. On the right-hand side, 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times negative x is negative 2x. Okay, second thing, I want to get my x's together. The way I'm going to do that is this positive 2x, I'm going to do the opposite of plus 2x, of minus 2x, which is plus 2x. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So then that gives me 22 plus 6x equals 16. Those two cancelled out, so it's gone. Rearrange, I'm going to subtract 22 from both sides, which is 6x equals negative 6. So 16 minus 22 is negative 6, and then I'm going to divide by 6. X equals negative 1. All right, this problem is actually probably easier than the previous ones. I've only got one x. I just have a whole series of extra things going on here. So in these questions, I like to think about what would I do if I was using BODMAS and going forwards. So our order of operations and going forwards, starting from the x value. So if I was going forwards, I would add 6, then I would divide by 3, and then I would plus 10. And that gives me an answer of 11. So if I go backwards, I do the opposite. Minus 10 times 3 minus 6. What does that look like when I set up my equation? It looks like this. Start with the original equation, equal to 11. I do the opposite of plus 10 first, which is minus 10 from both sides. When I minus 10 from this side, they cancel each other out. And I get x plus 3 equals 6. And 1 on the right-hand side. Then I multiply by 3. I get x plus 6 equals 3. So times to that by 3 and times to that by 3. And then finally subtract 6 from both sides. And 3 minus 6 is minus 3. There's my answer. Question 5, same deal as before. Start with the x. I multiply it by 2, then I divide by 5, and then I take my answer and I subtract it from 13. Now this can confuse some people, so I'm actually going to start by just rearranging my equation, and I'm going to write it slightly different. This is a positive 13, and it is a negative 2x over 5 and a positive 13. So many students like this equation to be rearranged into the form that they're used to seeing, which is this one. And all I've done is that plus 13, I've just written it second instead of first. The negative 2x over 5, I've written first. Okay, so let's work backwards. Let's subtract 13 from both sides. 7 minus 13 is negative 6, and then all I've got is 2x divided by 5 on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. Then multiply both sides by 5. I get negative 2x equals negative 30. And then finally, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. And we've done this in class by writing it as a fraction, so let's do that. They cancel out. We get x, and negative 30 divided by negative 2 is positive 15. Okay, so these questions, a few of us have done it different ways. What I like to do is different to what you like to do. So I'm going to do it the way that most students have said that they like. And in this question, I'm going to multiply everything by the lowest common multiple of my denominator. So the lowest common multiple of 7 and 3 is 21. So I'm going to take my equation and I'm going to multiply the left-hand side by 21. And I'm going to multiply the right-hand side by 21, which looks like this. And when I multiply, I'm going to basically, I've got a multiply by 21 and a divide by 7. Now, if I put them together, 21 divided by 7, because I can change the order that I multiply and divide by, let's actually do the divide by first. 21 divided by 7 is just 3. And the bit that was on the numerator stays in the numerator. So those two cancel each other out to become 3. On my right-hand side, those two cancel each other out, 21 divided by 3, to become 7. And I get rid of those denominators in that first step by multiplying by the lowest common multiple. Once I get to this step, I've got two brackets, so expand the brackets. 3 times 4x is 12x, 3 times 5 is 15, 7 times 2x is 14x, 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. I need to get my x's together. I'm going to subtract 12x from each side, which gives me 15 on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side it becomes 2x minus 7. Add 7 to both sides, I get 22 equals 2x, and then divide both sides by 2. And I get x equals 11. All right, so a few steps in that one. Don't try and do it all in your head. Okay, again, ugly question like we had before. I've got this minus 4x and I have a plus 7. We don't write the plus when it's there. Most students like rearranging that, and I'm going to do minus 4x first, plus 7 second. All divided by 5 equals negative 6. Okay, so we start with the x. I multiply it by negative 4, I then plus 7, then I divide by 5. If I'm working backwards, I do the opposite, so I'm going to times by 5. And I get negative 4x plus 7 equals negative 30. Then going to subtract 7, which gives me negative 4x equals negative 37. And then I divide by 4, or in fact let's divide by negative 4 on both sides of the equal sign. On this side they cancel out and I've just got x on this side two negatives make a positive, so my answer is 37 divided by 4. And this fraction can't be simplified, so I actually just leave it like that as my final answer. Moving along, we get some inequalities. Now remember, inequalities, we do exactly like it was an equal sign. The only thing I have to remember is if I ever multiply or divide by a negative, I must flip the sign. So let's start. I've got 2x plus 8 is less than or equal to 18. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So 2x is less than or equal to 10. And then I'm going to divide by 4. So, no, I'm not. I'm going to divide by 2. So if I divide this side by 2, divide this side by 2, I get x is less than or equal to 5. And because I didn't multiply or divide by a negative number at all, this less than or equal to sign just stays exactly the same. No need to change it. Let's look at our second problem here. Starting with x over 5 plus 8 is less than 1. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides, which gives me negative 7 is greater than x divided by 5. And then I'm going to multiply by 5. X is less than just less than negative 35. And that's my final answer. Again, I didn't multiply or divide by a negative, so the sign does not change. 5 and negative 35. All right, in this case, I am going to multiply or divide by a negative, but let's use that trick that we used before. This is a negative x, and it is a positive 12. So let's start by rewriting it as negative x plus 12, all divided by 3, is less than or equal to 2. Okay, do the opposite of times, divide 3, which is 2 times by 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and I get rid of the divide by 3 on the left-hand side. Haven't changed my sign yet. It's still x less than 6. Okay, now let's subtract 12 from both sides. And I get 6 subtract 12 is negative 6. And on my left-hand side, it is negative x. So this is technically a negative 1x. Remember my silent ones. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. And when I multiply or divide by a negative, I swap my sign around. So that sign right there, my inequality, is going to change. It's going to point the other direction now, because I have I have divided by a negative. So I swap my sign. Negative 6 and divide by negative 1 is equal to positive 6. And the negative 1 and the negative 1 cancel each other out, and I've just got x. So my answer is x is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, simultaneous equations. These are the ones we've talked about in class. This method is a substitution because I have a variable by itself. So I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to stick this equation into my first equation where the y was, which means it looks like this. 2x plus, and then instead of writing y, I'm going to write 6x minus 1. So I've replaced the y with a 6x minus 1. Now I put that in brackets just as a habit. Now I'm going to work out, do I actually need those brackets? Because it's being added, I do not need those brackets. I can just ignore them. 2x plus 6x is 8x minus 1 equals 3. Add 1 to both sides. 8x equals 4. And then x equals 4 divided by 8. So we divide by 8. And you need to know that that is exactly the same as 1/2. So we have to simplify our fractions when we can. X is equal to 1/2. Once we know the x value, we've got to find the y value. And we go back to our equation up here to find our y value, because this equation tells me what y is equal to when I know what x is. So y will equal 6 times the x value, which we just found to be a half, take away 1. 6 times a half is 3, take away 1, y equals 2. Okay, don't forget to find x and y when you do simultaneous equations. Here's another example. I'm going to squeeze it over to this side of the screen. Again, substitution tells me what y is equal to. So I'm going to take this y value and I'm going to substitute it for where y is in this equation. So my equation becomes 5x plus 2 times 2x minus 3. And that's where I need that brackets. So I keep the brackets there to show what I replace the y with. Now I expand my brackets. And don't forget to go 2 times 2x and 2 times minus 3, which is minus 6. Collect your like terms. 5x and 4x is 9x. Add 6. Divide by 9. Remember, that is only the x value. I'm now going to put that x value back into the equation that tells me what y is when I know x. So I now go y will be equal to 2 times the x value, which is 4, take away 3. 2 times 4 is 8, take away 3 is 5. So my y value is 5. Alright, this question is a little bit gross. So what we're going to do is the same thing as before. We're going to get that common denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything by the lowest common multiple of these 3 values. And the lowest common multiple of 3, 4 and 6 is equal to 12. So I'm going to multiply everything here by 12. That looks like this: 12 times y minus 1 over 4 minus 12 times 2y plus 5 over 3 equal to 12 times 1/6. Okay, then I actually do the division first rather than the multiplication. 12 divided by 4 is 3 minus 12 divided by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then 12 divided by 1/6. 12 times 1/6 is 2 wholes. Expand the brackets. 3y minus 3. Now here's a trick as well. Minus 4 has to be multiplied by everything. So I do minus 4 times 2y, which is minus 8y. And then minus 4 times positive 5 is minus 20. Collect the like terms. 3y take 8y is minus 5y's. Negative 3 and negative 20 is, so minus 3 take away another 20 is minus 23. That equals 2. Now we add 23 to both sides and we get minus 5y is equal to 25. And then divide by negative 5, which gives me an answer of minus 5. Okay, that's a tricky one. Hopefully you followed through on that. If you have questions about that one, come and see me in class sometime. Okay, so questions 1 and 2 we're going to do without a calculator, and then the questions that come after that we're going to use a calculator for. So we've seen a few of these now. I'm going to add 4 to both sides, which gives 3x equals 18, and then I'm going to divide by 3, x equals 6. In B, I'm going to times by 2 on both sides first. I get x plus 5 equals 14. And then I'm going to subtract 5. X equals 9. When I've got brackets, expand the brackets first is usually the easiest way. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 8 is 16. And that's equal to 2x. Then I'm going to subtract 2 x's from both sides to get my x's together. And I get 4x plus 16 equals 0. Take away 16 from both sides. 0 take away 16 is negative 16, and I've got 4x on the left, and then divide by 4 on both sides. X equals negative 4. That's my answer. Okay, multiply. We've got fractions, so we want to multiply by the lowest common multiple. And the lowest common multiple of 3 and 2 is 6. So it's going to be 6 times 4x minus 3 over 3 equal to 6 times 2x minus 1 over 2. So we've multiplied both sides by 6, and then now we're actually going to do this division first. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, and I still have the numerator, 4x minus 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and I still have the numerator, 2x minus 1. Expand the brackets on both sides. Don't forget to multiply both things by the number out the front. That gives 6x minus 3. Take away 6x from both sides, and I get 2x minus 6 equals minus 3. Add 6 to both sides, 2x equals 3, and then divide by 2. X equals 3 over 2. And I'll leave my answer as a fraction. There's no need to change it as a decimal. 3 divided by 2 and 3 over 2 are exactly the same thing. All right, simultaneous equations again. I take my y value, the one that says what y is equal to, and I replace the y in the previous equation. So it becomes 3x plus 2 times 2x minus 8 equals 19. Expand the brackets. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. Put your x's together. Add 16 to both sides. And I get 35 equals 7x. Divide by 7 on both sides, and I get x equals 5. Don't forget, this is only half the problem. I have an x and a y. I have an x and a y in both of these equations. We have to find x and y. So far I've only found x. So what do? I stick that x value back into this equation that tells me that y is equal to 2 times the x value, take away 8. So 2 times 5 is 10, take away 8 is 2. And I've got my y value. Alright, I'm going to keep going in the single video, and we're going to start using the calculator here. So use your calculator to complete the following. My calculator on the iPad looks a little bit different to your handheld, but the idea is the same. So let's go through. We have to expand this whole equation, and we're going to use our calculator to do that. So the way I'm going to do it, I'll show you in a sec. I just have to quickly write down the equation so when I go to my other screen, I remember what it is. So you cannot see at the moment, I'm just writing it down off screen. Okay, we go to our calculator screen. So we actually want to expand this. So I'm going to go to, now I've got the little spanner. That spanner is like my menu. So I click the menu button. I then go to algebra, and I'm going to expand 3 times 2a plus 4, close the bracket, plus 2 times 4 minus 2a, close the bracket. So I've written out my equation. It's in the expand command. Now I just hit enter, and it gives me the answer, 2a plus 20. Okay, multiple choice question. It was 2a plus 20, which was E. Done. All right, again, we want to simplify. Now, when we simplify, we're just trying to put together all of our bits. So we want to simplify this expression here. Same as before, I'm just writing it down so when I go to my calculator screen, I know what it is. Hopefully this works in the calculator. When I'm simplifying, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to use that expand function. So menu, and just show you what it would have been. Menu, algebra, expand. And for this, I'm going to use the fraction template. On your calculator, you have to press Control, the blue button, and then divide, and it will give you a little fraction template that looks like this. Type in the equation, 2x plus 3, all divided by 4. Arrow across, so you get beside it, then it is a minus sign, then Control divide to get your fraction template again, and it is x minus 1, all divided by 2. Hit enter, and there is your answer, 5/4. Go back to your calculator, to your test, 5/4 was the answer. That's easy, wasn't it? So now we are finding a solution. So we need to solve x divided by 5 minus 1/7 equals 1/35. Now I could do this by hand, but the whole purpose is to do it on the calculator. So let's use our calculator. Go to menu. Again, we're in an algebra topic, so go to algebra, and this time we're solving an equation. Press your Control divide to get your fraction template. Put in your first fraction, x over 5. Then minus fraction template again, 1/7, 1/7. Equals your equal signs under the Control button on the left-hand side of your calculator. Fraction, 1/35. There's my equation. The only difference with solving equations compared to expanding is I need to tell it what I want to find. So I'm going to press comma x. So the comma on your calculator is on the left-hand side down the bottom by memory. I might have that wrong though. So I put comma x at the end when I'm solving, hit enter, and we get 6/7. Go back, our answer was 6/7. D. Okay, simultaneous equations this time. Now we did this more recently in class, so hopefully you have remembered how to do the simultaneous equations. So I go to my calculator. Just go back to the beginning here. So I go to menu, algebra. Now this time I'm not solving a single equation, I've got a system of equations. So I hit system of equations. And remember, I told you can always use that first option, solve system of equations. We have two equations and the variables are x and y, so I just hit OK. And then I need to put my first equation in the first spot. 5x plus 4y, how I get my letters is a little bit different to what you do, but you'll work it out, equals 8. Arrow down into your second equation box, 4x minus 9y equals, now don't forget, we're doing equations, you've got to have the equals. If you don't put the equals, it'll never work. And then we don't have to tell it what we're solving for because that's already done for us in the curly brackets. Hit enter, x equals 4, y equals -1. So the trick here, we had x, oops, that's not my pen, x equals 4, y equals negative, I wanted to say -1, it was actually -3. Y equals -3. So as my coordinates, it is always the x value first and my y value second. So which one has x at 4 and y -3? That would be B. Let's see that one more time. So we've got 5x minus 2y equals 3 and 2x plus y equals 3. Break out the calculator. We can cheat here. We don't have to go through the menu again. We can actually just go up and re-highlight it and hit enter and it just copies everything down. Why would you do that? You don't have to. I'm backspacing now. If you went to that menu option, it'll do exactly the same thing. 5x minus 2y equals 3. And my second equation, I actually don't think this was quicker. I probably should have just gone to menu. 2x plus y equals 3. Hit enter. I get x equals 1, y equals 1. Go back to my problem. Here's my x, still on the highlighter, x value, y value. So x equals 1, y equals 1. The answer is C. Okay, we now have an inequality. Now the inequalities, this is a tricky question. It's a perfect example of how we can stick a question in the calculator area that doesn't really help you terribly. So how might I do this problem? There's a couple of ways. What it's actually asking is it's saying if x was 1 and y was -7, would this be true? So if x was 1, it would be 2 times 1 plus 3 times -7. Would that be greater than -18? So if we actually worked that out, 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times -7 is -21. 2 plus -21 is the same as -19. And the question is that greater than -18? No, -19 is a smaller number than -18. Here's -18. Here's -19. This number's further down the number line. It's a smaller value. So it's not A. So we can use guess and check and trial and error to work through those problems and see which one's going to work. How would you do that on the calculator? This is the only thing I would do to help you work it out on the calculator quickly rather than doing all of those calculations in your head. So I'm going to go 2x plus 3y, and then I'm going to use this sign that's called the given sign. Now let me see if I can find this given sign on the calculator. I never really remember where it is. I think it's actually in here, A, B, C, and then I want the vertical line that's straight up and down. That's that one. On your handheld calculator, that vertical line, if you press Control equals, I'm quite sure it's in there, but you can actually check. But I'm going to say, given that x equals 2, and then hopefully I can put a comma in here, and y equals, what number did we try for y? I can't remember now. Y was equal to -7. -7. Hit enter. Okay, it's telling me an error, so it doesn't like my comma. See how it's brought the cursor back to where the comma was? So I'm actually going to do this slightly different. I'm going to put a space in, and I'm going to actually type the word and you can do that on your calculator as well, just space and. Hit enter again, and now it tells me that it's -17. So is -17 equal to or greater than -18? I've done something wrong on the calculator here. I've messed something up. We had x was 1 and y was -7. X was 1 and y was 7. So hit enter, let's try that again. X was 1, y was -7, and I've got an answer of -19. No, -19 is not greater than -18. Then we go up to our equation and copy it down. So I just arrow up, highlight it, and then hit enter. It goes back in. Go to the second point, check the next value, -2 and -8. So -2 and -8. Hit enter. Is -28 greater than -18? No, it is not. We arrow up, highlight it, hit enter. Try our next value. Next value is -5, -10. So -10 for y and -5 for x. Hit enter. Is -40 less than greater than -18? No, it's not. Next value is 0, 0, and 0, -9 are my two. So I'm just copying, enter, -9 and 0. Is -27 less than -18? No, it's not, which brings me my final possibility. Is 0 greater than -18? 0 is greater than -18, so this is my only answer. All right, that question, trial and error. You've got to use a bit of knowledge to sort of work out what's the quickest way to get that answer. Question 7, in the process of solving the inequality, it is necessary to, now read the question as part of reading it. Do I need to change it to an equal sign? Do I change the sign to less than or greater than? Do I change the sign to the other direction? Do I change the sign to greater than or equal to? Or do I keep the sign the same? Now straight away here, we can actually cancel out this option. I don't change the less than sign. I never make it a less than or greater than sign. So I've only really got two answers. So you could completely guess, and it is a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So the question is, when I solve this, is it necessary to change my sign around? Well, let's have a look. If we solve it, 2x minus 7 is less than -6. If I was solving this, I would plus 7 to both sides. That would give me 2x is less than 1. And then I would divide both sides by 2, which would give x less than 1/2. Now, did I multiply or divide by a negative number in this problem? No, I did not. So I do not need to change the sign at all. I keep it the same. Perfect example of a question where they said you're allowed to use your calculator, but the calculator does not help you at all. All right, we're flying here. Let's go through A, B, and C. Anthony and his friend Brian are selling tickets for the rides at their school's annual fair. Between them, they sell 80 tickets. Anthony sold 12 more tickets than Brian. Find how many tickets they each sold. Okay, so this is an example of applying what we've learnt about simultaneous equations. So let's start by saying let A equal Anthony. Tickets sold. Ticks sold. And let B equal Brian. Tickets sold. Again, lazy. Ticks sold. So it's like, how many tickets did Anthony sell? How many tickets did Brian sell? We know that Anthony plus Brian is equal to 80 tickets. And we know that Anthony sold 12 more tickets than Brian. So Brian plus 12 will be the same as Anthony. So we've created our two simultaneous equations. Now we're going to go to the calculator to solve them. So menu, we've got algebra, and then we are solving a system of equations. I've got two equations. My variables are now A and B. Okay, brings up my equation. I put in my two equations, so it's A plus B equals 80, and B plus 12 is equal to A. Hit enter. So A is 46, B is 34, therefore Brian sold 34 tickets and Anthony sold 46 tickets. Okay, the tickets are $3 for adults and $2 for children. The 80 tickets cost a total of $168. Define two variables to represent this problem and write two equations related to the two variables. So notice it hasn't asked me to solve here. I just need to define two variables and write two equations. And my point now is it's not about Brian and Anthony, it's about the adults and the children tickets. So let A equal number of adult tickets. let C equal the number of children tickets. So that's my defining the variables. I have to write that to get my marks. And then my equations are the adults' tickets plus the children's tickets equal 80. And then an adult ticket is $3. So, $3. So it's 3 times the adult tickets plus 2 times the children tickets, because an adult ticket is $3 and a children's ticket's $2. And they add up to equal $168. Now, I don't have to do any calculations there. That is my answer, all right, for part B. Part C says solve this pair of simultaneous equations using elimination and then write your answer in words. So here, I can go to the calculator to do this. Menu, system of equations. We have A and C. Okay, my equation was A plus C is equal to 80, and then 3A plus 2C was equal to 168. So we've got A equals 8, C equals 72. So A equals 8 and C equals 72. We can write a sentence out in words. There were 8 adult tickets and 72 children tickets sold. All right, so now we've actually answered this, but we haven't done the using elimination method. So if you want full marks for this question, we have to show elimination. And I know that some students haven't done that in class. So this is how elimination method works. I'm going to do it really quickly here. Here's my first equation. Call that equation 1. And my second equation is 3A plus 2C equals 168. What I'm going to do for elimination is I'm going to get one of my variables, either A or C, to have the same coefficient. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply this first equation by 2. So then that first equation becomes 2A plus 2C equals 160. And then my second equation is 3A plus 2C equals 168. And the idea of elimination is I'm going to eliminate one of these variables. And the variable I'm going to eliminate is the one that's the same. And the way I eliminate it is I take my first equation and I'm going to subtract my second equation. So I do 2A minus 3A, which is minus 1A. 2C minus 2C is just 0. And 160 minus 168 is minus 8. 160 minus 168 is just minus 8. Oh, come on, brain. Minus 8. There we go. Got there eventually. And I don't need to put a plus A in here. So I end up with this equation that minus 1A is equal to minus 8. So we can say then that A must be 8. How did I do that? Divide both sides by -1. Solving equations, we get A equals 8. Now if we know that A equals 8, let's go back and stick that into this equation right here. If A equals 8, A plus C is equal to 80. So 8 plus the number of children tickets has to equal 80. So the number of children's tickets has to be 72. And that is my process of elimination for solving that equation. And we have my two answers, A equals 8, C equals 72, and I've written a sentence for what it means. And that should be the end of the practice test.